Over the years, I have been sent gear, I have bought gear and returned it, I have bought gear and kept it, and not everything has been all that fantastic. However, even though I said there are some pieces of gear in my previous video that I wish I had never bought, these are 7 pieces of gear that I honestly wish I had bought so much sooner. Number 1 on that list without a doubt is the Shure SM7B. I'm speaking on it right now. This is a microphone that I kind of shied away from for the long time. So here's the thing. I used to use the Samson Q2U and you could not pull me off of that microphone to save my life. I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread, and in my opinion, it honestly was. It still is a fantastic microphone that I still use, especially when traveling. But when it came to environmental noises, sometimes getting closer to the laptop, or just when the laptop fans would get going, airplanes, you name it, dynamic cardioid microphones do a really great job of rejecting background noise, but past a point, it can only do what it can do. Now, I thought all cardioid dynamic microphones were for the most part the same, especially when you listen to mic comparisons online. They pretty much sound like apples to apples, but that may be in a already great quiet environment with sound treated and carpeted and all the rest. This is just a regular office and it's not sound treated, and it's still not sound treated. But when I got the Shure SM7B paired with the Rodecaster Pro, it made a ton of sense. The little bit of issues with certain frequencies being picked up when I'm, placing it this way or placing it that way, it just didn't matter. When I'm using this microphone on my Samson Q2U, it did. And the other thing is that I can have the fan on, which is on right now. I can have the air conditioner on, which is on right now, and you hear nothing. Now, granted, that comes with the internal whatever they got going on the Rodecaster Pro to make it great. And so like the noise cancellation, in addition to adding in a little bit of the voice isolation tool that's in the Final Cut Pro, but we use that already anyway, and we're using different settings to kind of mitigate noise just because it is a bit louder environment. But it is that much more quieter already on the Shure SM7B, and really no issues. At the end of the day, even though like it's known as a legendary microphone, it's like, and of course it's great, I just didn't see much of a need. But it's not until I tried it that I really saw the difference that it made for me in this space, especially being a noisy environment. I couldn't have picked a better microphone, and people have these for like 15 to 20 years. I probably won't replace it. The number 2 thing on my list that I wish I had got sooner, better lights. At the end of the day, I don't care what camera and lens combination that you use or how good in low light it is. All cameras need lights. And back in 2017, the light industry back then is not the same as it was now. Like you literally can find a great light setup anywhere with a stone's throw. But back then, lights used to cost a ton. Everybody was only really getting the Aperture 120Ds or something eventually when those came out, whenever they came out. But there really wasn't any good LED lights. You were still using photography stuff trying to make it work. And at the cost that those lights were, I just didn't want to spend the money, and figured like if everybody's saying it's just as good, why not go ahead and get it? The problem would be sometimes it would be a lime green tint or a magenta tint to it. And either way, it just was bad, and I didn't have diffusion, and it was a nightmare for all the videos that I've made all kinds of mistakes on. Having good lights, it's just one of those things that once you set it, forget it. You don't have to worry about it. It's been a fantastic investment with the Viltrox kit and the pop-up softbox lights, because I literally set it, I forget about them, and they just work. And it's one of those things that it's not worth, especially now, cheaping out on, because even the cheaper lights are really great. So lighting, best thing to have. Believe it or not, Ecamm Live used to cost $29 flat. Now, back then, I was not a Mac user at all. But for $29, it was enough for me to want to start looking at Mac computers. So this is like, again, 2016, 2017 era. I'm just getting started into video, and I want to get into live streaming and stuff, but everything was so much more like expensive as far as getting good lights, good cameras. The baseline requirements that's in like a $600 or $700 cameras was not even close to being in a $600 or $700 camera back then. So when you look at software, computer specs, it's a whole nother different world. But Ecamm Live was incredible. Now looking at that, and then also looking at Final Cut Pro being like a standard price, and everything else switching to subscription models about 2018, I'm like, dang, let me take another look at Ecamm. Then I look over and it's $79. And I'm like, I'm not letting this switch over to subscription model because I could see it coming a mile away. I'm like, let me go ahead, grab a Mac, get Ecamm, get Final Cut, and be done with it. And that's exactly what I did. Now, was $79 a bad deal? No, not at all. It is a steal. It's $29 was a steal, and $79 even more so. Why do I say I wish I had got it sooner? It's because it was $29. Like, two people could go through any modern drive-through in America, and you're going to spend more than $29. And I just could not believe how incredible it was. Now, I'm recording this video right now inside of Ecamm Live. Most of the videos I do, even vertical videos, recorded in Ecamm Live, and they continue to make updates. Now, we partner with Ecamm in some of our videos so that you can get 2 months free and try Ecamm out for yourself. Instead of like the standard 14-day trial, you can get 2 months free trial with Ecamm Live. Put in the promo code Diana, the number 2 MOS, like 2 months, but Diana 2 months, and you can get 2 months free and try Ecamm for yourself. Now, one of the things with trying different software and stuff like that, you're trying to make some things work. But the reason why I say I wish I had got it sooner is because once you find what you know for a fact will work, just get that instead of dilly-dallying with a bunch of different things. Like, it was a couple other different software companies that were doing live streaming, and you could use it on PC, but it was just not as good as Ecamm, and I knew it. So I wish I just had got it sooner just to save myself some hell and save wasting money trying other different softwares that I knew didn't have or didn't do what I wanted. And I didn't mind working with a company that at that time was like much smaller, but they were way better. Fast forward, it's been one of the best decisions ever. And I love the software. I love the company. One of the things that is still a fantastic buy all these years later. Next thing on my list is going to be carbon fiber tripods. This is the Suray 5C travel tripod. So I don't get tongue tied because I've tried this take a couple times already. Travel tripods already are great. They're lightweight and all of that. And it's not until you start traveling or if you plan to that makes sense. And most tripods are aluminum, but carbon fiber ones are carbon fiber and they're that much lighter. And there are some lightweight aluminum ones, and I have some that are like that. And you kind of look at them like they're going to sit on the floor. They're going to hold the camera. What's the big deal? This is the big deal. It's just lightweight. It's a feather. But if they literally are just sitting at home on the floor, it's not that big of a deal. Even this Sony a6400 that stays in the office, this one stays on an Amazon Basics 60-inch tripod because it literally never moves. I don't need a $300 tripod to hold a camera that's not moving. Even if I do take the camera with me when I'm traveling, I don't need to take the tripod. So that one literally doesn't matter. So it's not like upgrade your gear if you're using this kind of tripod, because again, in a setting like this, you're just moving it from here to here. You can use the Amazon Basics 60-inch tripod and it'll be great. But when it comes to you needing to travel, when it comes to you wanting to record your own talks, that little bit of extra weight starts to add up. And I'm not one of my friends that want to carry a 50-pound camera bag with a bunch of accessories and stuff in it. It just doesn't make sense. I carry my camera, 1 or 2 lenses, and I have my carbon fiber tripod. Lightweight makes so much more sense when you're just solo content creating. You want to switch up environments. Yes, aluminum tripods are cheaper and aluminum lightweight tripods are still cheap, but a good quality, strong tripod that you will never have to replace is always worth the money. Next on my list is another legendary item, which is the Sigma 16mm lens. And yes, it's one of those things where you see everybody say that it's a fantastic item. You gotta have it. You gotta get it. It just is amazing and it's wonderful. And I'm looking at all of them like, big whoop-de-doo. But when it boiled down to getting a really good lens that would blur the background, I could sit really close to it, figured like, let me see and give it a try. Now, I did get the Sony 16 f2.8 lens first because I just wanted to see, is 2.8 good enough? Could you really tell the difference? And it was a much smaller lightweight lens. No big deal. And like f2.8, I didn't see much of a difference between, honestly, that particular lens and like a kit lens. It really is not like quality wise that big of a difference, but there is a massive difference between that lens and this lens, and f2.8 and f1.4 are worlds apart in my opinion. Now this lens was one that I feel like I should have got sooner because I already had the need of wanting to have more lenses when I switched over to Sony in 2019, but I just kind of sat on it for a while. So I don't disagree with waiting to make sure that it would be right for me, but it is one of the lenses for as much as I use it, which is daily. I wish I had got it sooner because I would have gotten that much extra use out of it. There's different times when just using my cameras, I'm trying to make my 35 work when the 16mm at f1.4 would have been perfect, and using it for vertical videos and stuff. So it's been a fantastic lens. I couldn't recommend it more. It is as good as everyone says, One, I just wish I had got sooner. This small little remote is the next bit of kit that I wish I had got sooner, which is the Sony DSLR2 remote. It works with cameras like the a6400, 6600, and older Sony cameras that have the infrared on it. The ZV-E10 and the ZV-1 do not, regrettably, but I wish that it did, because you can control your camera literally with all of these buttons. It's not just about zooming in and zooming out or stuff like that the Bluetooth remotes can do. This one, literally, you can cycle through the whole menus. You can trigger a bunch of actions and stuff to happen with this remote that you literally cannot do with Bluetooth. This is just one of those things where it's kind of connected, I guess, just to certain model cameras, but it's one of the things I had wished I got sooner, because getting up to go up to the camera, change this, sit back down, instead of like, I think I want to change it, get back up, is old. It's tired. It's like outdated. Just get one of these. It's so stupid cheap. It's just not worth even thinking twice about. So if you have one of those cameras, like I'm using the a6400 right now, just go ahead and get it. It works fantastic. Just to start and stop recording, change stuff on the menu. You don't have to keep getting up. Just use this. Last thing on my list is the Loupedeck Live. Now, this is one of those things that I didn't see a ton of value when you just look at videos and people are like, oh, I can press this button, this web page pops up, or I can press this button and it does this thing for me, because I don't do a whole lot of video editing anymore, and I don't do any kind of photo editing. So that stuff didn't appeal to me. But what did appeal to me as an entrepreneur and content creator is when I'm sitting down to do a course, like we just launched our Building a Team course, which is available now, link in the description. But when I want to sit down and I want to record something, I know how the flow is that I want. So if I'm getting ready to record one, I'll say, okay, give me my prep screen so I can drink my water, have all the stuff on the scene, but it's not recording yet. I press one button, then it goes into like, okay, start the intro, play the music, then transition to me, press another button, maybe we go to a screen share scene in Ecamm Live. Then I'll say like, that's the end of that particular video, hit one button, the music starts, it has a delay to make sure it kind of has a tail end of the music and fades out. Then the recording stops. Doing stuff like that, completely a game changer. Or like my morning routine when I'm getting ready to sit down, I want to do my journal, I want to do my notes. And there are certain trigger actions in addition to stuff like the Shortcuts app. Creating macros is what this is called in the Loupedeck Live. It's no comparison. I know it's other stuff out there, but for this, it is literally no comparison. And I didn't buy this, and it's something that I wish I honestly had bought if I was going to get it and got it sooner, because there's so many times that I'm looking through, like, how many takes is it going to take me to do something? How many times am I going to have to repeat this? Anytime now that I start thinking, if I'm going to have to do a couple clicks or a couple different like ways to go about doing something, I think about, let me go and create a system and create a macro so I can do that within Loupedeck Live. And you're talking about shaving literal hours off of your time every single month. And not just like overall in the month, but literally the day, because I track my time for when I'm doing my own work, and I watch myself just shave hours and hours and hours off of my days. That means finishing work faster, and that means getting to live life and do other things. But when I am creating content and I am doing other stuff, nothing compares to the Loupedeck Live. Now, this is a list of gear that I actually like that I bought. If you want to see the list of stuff that I wish I had actually never bought and how much money I have wasted trying and buying different stuff, that some stuff is a complete waste of money, at least it was for me, you can check out one of the other videos coming up on the screen. Or if you want to see what is the best YouTube kit that you can put together, literally everything you would need to get started for under $1,000, check out the other video on the screen coming up right now.